Hi, my name is Chakirra Claasen and welcome to the Iron Lady exhibition. This exhibition is a collection of garments, accessories and some printed artworks and photographs that contributes to my master's thesis. My whole master's thesis is about documenting the creative process, and the rust and the collection was just the means to achieve and to accomplish that. My interest in rust started a couple of years ago when a colleague of mine, we shared a studio together, and he was a goldsmith, and we shared the studio with a whole lot of other goldsmiths, and they were going to have an exhibition on using metal, and I, as a fashion designer, obviously didn't fit into that scenario. And he told me, Chakirra, do you know that if you hang a white t-shirt on the washing line, if it gets a rust stain, it can never be removed? And that immediately caught my attention, and I immediately started exploring with the rust and rusting some textiles. And so rust is something that you can source from a lot of different places, and you can also create rust in a lot of different ways. So I specifically used iron only to create my rust, and I sourced my rust from lots of different places. So the process of rust is basically oxygen, air and water. If they react with one another, then they create rust. And it depends on how much oxygen, how much water, how much air. So every time that those elements change, then your rust will also end up looking a little bit different. And that's obviously something which wasn't the focus at the moment, but I've already started documenting and noticing how the rust behaves in different scenarios. So the fresher the rust is, the more orange it is, and the older the rust is, the blacker it becomes, also when there's been too little oxygen and it reacts a bit slower. I did have my dad's building contractor, so I have lots of old rusted rubble at home, as any building contractor has, and I did explore with a few bits that I found, but obviously they weren't enough to really create unique and repetitive patterns. So I went to go buy some iron nails, and I basically rusted them just by using water, oxygen, and the reactive, which is vinegar, and they rust really quickly. The longer you rust them for, the better the rust is, but you must also be careful that they don't get too dark, because then the rust is not so usable. And then you basically build little patterns with it. So the nails are easy, because you just have to place them on, and whatever pattern you do, and you weight them down a little bit, and that's how you get the pattern. So this is obviously like a full circle skirt and a t-shirt top, and basically how I created all of this lovely texture on here. Down the road from our studio there was a burnt out car, and it'd been standing in the rain for a while, so obviously all the coatings had gone off, so the car's made out of metal and it started rusting. So I sourced a lot of my rust from this old damaged car. So all of these circles came from the tires of the car. So the tires that burnt out, and inside all the tires you get all of this wire. So I basically just arranged them on the textile, and this is what happened. And over here you can see obviously the textures of the nails. And there's also different things that happens with how you place the nails on. So for these ones, I first put on the nails, and then I sprayed them with water afterwards. Hence the water didn't soak underneath all of the nails. That's why it's got this interesting little gap texture in the middle. But if you spray the water before the time, then it will be a solid nail marking. And then these are just, I use some washers and some bolts and bearings and stuff as well. And of course I use some beads. Some of them were rusted. In this case they weren't rusted. The lace that comes from this is some old laced curtains of my mom, and you know, they're not being used anymore, so I really wanted to also have the sense of reusing textile, using old textile, using cheap textile, using things that you have lying around, because in Namibia a lot of students, designers complain that they can't be unique and authentic because of the lack of material availability and stuff. And also part of this, as what I wanted to express, is that you can make your own, you can add your own value to textiles and things, and you can be unique. You just have to go through the creative process. That's so important.